Have you ever had one of those moments where you haven't got a chance to watch something and you see a bunch of people reacting crazy on social media and your mind starts wondering about what possibly could have happened that shocked people? I had that with Ranking of Kings episode 22. I was traveling and I seen social media, somebody panicking about a decision. I'm like, oh crap, I can't read this. And I finally go to watch the episode and I'm like, yep, that was totally the scene. That was the moment. I could totally see this being the moment. Yeah. Daida. What? What? Okay, sure. I can run through my theories on why that's the case, but yeah, just a very weird episode. Really not... Yes, going in the direction that I was assuming it was going to go. I kind of assumed we were going to get into what this demon is and how Miranda knows it. My assumption was going to be that they were friends together and at some point she did something wrong or something, but really going in an interesting direction... I should know this by now. Like, this writer is all about forgiveness. This writer's all about multi-dimensions. It's always about, not so much it always has to redeem characters, but really explain the characters. And again, going in the direction that it did with the demon wasn't really... I wasn't even expecting it. I was assuming these were two different things. Like, here's this crazy demon, and here's this little young demon, and possibly there's a connection between them, and one led to the other. Not that this turned into this. That was not really in my ballpark, but now we get a continuation of what Bose was calling out to Daida for. In the last episode, for some random shot, randomly it has Bose yelling out to Daida, "Do this for me." And it was technically him bestowing upon Daida these memories of his life traveling with Miranjo, showing this how hard Bose fought to basically help Miranjo. And it was interesting because it was able to, and this is where I get into my theories of why I'm okay with Daida's decision, is it really went out of its way to show that Bose became like a father figure of Miranjo. It wasn't that he was attracted to her. It's not that they had a relationship. He just fought his entire life to bring Miranjo out of this darkness and give her purpose. And that eventually led to her wanting to give him purpose and help him with his dreams, which was to be the strongest. And that led into a whole mess of different fights and everything, and eventually it even showed us Bose actually defeat the god that we've seen in Miranjo's history. This one king of the gods, it seems like. It doesn't really give us a full picture of who he is, but this guy that was always center to all the other gods. And this was somebody that Bose eventually wanted to fight and was defeated, and eventually that led to them actually getting Boji, getting the strength from Boji, and then being able to defeat this god. But then he became empty at that point, and that's what led him to eventually become a father, essentially. And yes, Daida sees that. Like, father did this to Boji, he's angry about it, which again, it leads in that element of how much Daida does actually love Boji. Despite the fact that, Boji is from a different mother, he still loves him like a brother, and to see his father did this to Boji upsets him. Then yes, he gets to see Miranjo, that point in which she says, we're going to basically sacrifice your other son, Daida, so that you can live on. This is where it kind of puts another crack into that whole thing. It's this whole idea that Daida at this point is realizing, one, how much Bose cared for Miranjo, how much Miranjo went way too far to love Bose. And then yes, despite the fact that he's always been with Miranjo was always plotting to basically sacrifice him in the end. It was like this one... It's kind of a nasty feeling in the end. Like, he now knows this mirror that he's always been working to do everything she wanted, essentially was going to sacrifice him. Did sacrifice him, technically. He was at this point right here, still sacrificed. But yes, this all leads to Daida regaining his body and then walking out and saying, "Hey, demon, give me back Miranjo. Revive Miranjo." And then, before that, we do get to see this brief little fight between all of them and the demon. They try to shoot arrows at it. He just flicks it away. The lightning comes down from Desha and knocks him down, and that's when they go over and chop his head off. And essentially, Despa's whole plan was to get the head and then demand from the demon a wish. And this was to essentially, he didn't finish his sentence, but the assumption is that he was going to have the demon give Oaken back his mortality, make him no longer immortal. You think you should probably take Oaken out of the hole first, but I guess the idea is just to let him die. But no, before he could finish that, that's when Daida steps forward and says, "Bring Miranjo back to life." And he recovers this frozen body from below and, revives her. And, oh gosh, The demon leaves, and everybody's about to kill Miranjo again, or at least capture her. And that's when Daida says, yes, it's my wife. Or he asks her to marry him. Just like, what? Where are we going? Okay, so let me give my complete mixed feelings on this whole thing. From one end over here, I completely understand why he would want to marry her. Because this is somebody that has always he knows her entire life at this point. He knows everything that she's been through. He's experienced everything that she's been through all these visions. He experienced the travels and all the desires that Bose had to bring her out of this darkness and to give her a great life. All these things he knows. He knows her entire history. She knows why she did everything. He has an explanation of everything. So he's technically the one person out of most everybody that's in this area that knows her through and through, knows her entire life, and can essentially excuse some of the things she's done. Now, on the other hand, he's seen all the nastiness about her. The fact that she did betray him after knowing him for several years and trusting her for several years. And at the same time, now knows that she kind of had a thing with his dad. It's like this kind of outweighs this. For me, it's like I understand why he can forgive her. I understand that he knows her. He can technically forgive her, but at the same time, I don't understand what's the attraction. That's the big problem. What is the attraction? What in here? I mean, yes, the attraction's obviously that he's been with her ever since he was born. This is technically like a sister to him. I would argue she's more like an aunt, because I mean, you can argue that Bose essentially, actually a sister. Yeah, it's a sister. Bose technically raised Miranjo like a daughter, protected her, raised her, and gave her purpose. And so now, and Daida's been living alongside her for a long time. It's basically a sister. I didn't know. It didn't dawn on me this entire time until now. This is basically pushing a siscon thing. But anyways, I understand that they've been together for a long time. He's entrusted her with everything. He's done everything that she's asked of him. She's been at his side, gained him essentially his kinghood. So I can see that love. And I guess at the same time, because he has a full understanding of her, he can understand why she betrayed him. But again, all in the end, it doesn't necessarily explain the attraction enough to make her a wife. And I don't mean attraction as in physically, don't get me wrong. It's just attraction of a personality. He's never really known her physically. He's always known her personality and her smarts. And I just don't really necessarily see a connection there, unless he just really is attracted to manipulative and brilliant people and strategizing a plan. I don't know. It's weird. It's an ultimate story of forgiveness, but at the same time, that quick judgment of marriage is weird. Unless he understood fully the only way that she would survive this situation is if he announced that she was his wife. That I can see. A strategic move like that I can see. And maybe later on it could be a thing of like kind of one of those things where I see everything happening. I see everything that did happen to her. I see the current situation. I do understand the betrayal of myself. But in this situation, if I want to protect her, I have to make her my wife. And I'm fine with her. Like, I do like her. So I can see that. In the end, I guess I talked myself down. But it was weird in the moment, let's be honest. I'm sure most people was probably like, yeah, that was out of nowhere. But then when you start thinking about it, yeah, I guess it does make sense. It was so left field at that point. But yeah, then we get the really sweet scene. We get our wholesome moment of the episode, having Healing come into the picture, and yeah, her saying, "Are you Daida?" Are you both like, "Yeah, I'm Daida," and she's super happy, and obviously she's super happy for Boji as well. That moment, she really acknowledges that the two of them have grown, that they've become their own, and that she's super proud of them, and that she's happy they're all safe. It was just a really great little reunion. And then yes, Healing wanting to kill Miranjo. Who's that person over there? Oh, that's Miranjo, the one that's all behind everything. Kill her quickly. But yeah, it does get into a little bit at this point about Oken and Despa and Desha and what their plan was. Again, I don't necessarily think they've made it perfectly clear of what Miranjo's significance is into this entire thing. Obviously, it does indicate that, again, Despa's plan was to use the demon's head to wish for Oken to become mortal again. But again, it doesn't really necessarily fully indicate to us why Dessa wanted Miranjo dead. Again, my assumption was based on what he said before, with that she is technically immortal, and he wanted her dead because immortality drives people mad, just like with Oken. But not necessarily the crimes of her, what is that specifically that she did. But this leads into, yes, this guy from the Ranking King system is still there with Dessa, and yes, he finally accepts because this didn't work out. Okay, I guess I'll take rank 1. I didn't catch that with the last episode, but it was technically indicating that not that he wanted Dessa to become a part of the Ranking King system, was that he wanted him to accept the first rank. He wanted him to accept winning the Ranking of Kings and acquire his reward, which, yes, leads to Dessa going down to this chamber way down below to go see the treasure room, and the entire time this Ranking of King guy is indicating that nothing's going to happen to you. You're not, even though he's got all these guards with him and everything, nothing's going to happen to you. But he does acknowledge the fact that people seeing wealth and power that is inside of this chamber changes them. Things that are beyond their imagination that they may find in this chamber will change them. And it's he's kind of bolstering Dessa in a little way by saying, that wouldn't happen to you. Like, you're Dessa. You're different than everybody else. But this official does also say that the Ranking of King system exists for the happiness of people. Which, again, I think that goes back to the whole argument that I don't really necessarily believe that. Again, I think that the Ranking of King system is made by the gods in order to essentially keep mankind fighting each other till eventually one is number one. Then they gain this power of immortality, which is in this chamber that everybody's going to choose it because it's immortality. But at the same time, it's also this aspect of driving one mad. And thus that would equate or cause a reset of a kingdom and then bring that power down. And I think that Dessa is way too powerful for their liking. So that brings the question. What is the last episode? We have one last episode left of Ranking of Kings, and it's the big question mark at this point for me is, the heck is that going to be? And my assumption is going to be, let's just have a brief, a cool down. Everybody the battle's over. Everybody's happy. Let's give a brief idea of kind of how everything settles down. But I think they're also going to tease Dessa getting immortality. Like, I don't think he's going to find a cure for immortality in there. And I think instead he's going to see immortality and he's going to choose it. Because what did his father want? And I think that what his father wanted will pass on Dessa. He's going to go in there. I don't even know if he's going to look for the cure for immortality. I think he's going to see immediately immortality, and I think it's going to, inside him, kind of have a little bit of a feeling of similarity to his father. And his father really wanted immortality, and I think he's going to accept it. And I think that's going to lead possibly into, I guess, hint at future stories of Dessa going crazy and them all having to fight Dessa, which I think kind of sucks because I, at this point, really like Dessa, but I don't know. The fact that he's accepted at this point is a real big question mark for me. But obviously, I think that the official from the Ranking King system is obviously trying to manipulate Dessa. Whatever is going to be in that chamber is not going to be good for him. We might get a brief image of what's in there in the next episode, but I think the overall episode is going to be how the dust is settling after this big fight. And I think that'll be a nice closure to the season. Again, I'm really hoping that they will announce a second season at the end of the next episode. I really hope so. Because again, this is another one of those ones where if that doesn't get another announcement, it's going to be very hard for me not to go right into the manga for this series because I love all these characters. I love the story and everything it's building up so far, and I cannot wait for more of it. So I completely skimmed over this because I think I got too trapped in talking about Daida's decision to marry her. Yes, we did get a brief idea of who this demon is. And again, like I said before, I thought they were going to be two separate things, but I knew they were going to be connected somehow. But yes, it's indication that the betrayal that it is insinuating that the betrayal that she had with this demon was at one point it showed Miranjo finding this demon. The demon was this little boy, and he says that every time that he grants a wish to somebody, he gets more monstrous, like he becomes more and more of a monster. And it seemed to obviously indicate that at least maybe Miranjo asked for many things, and that turned him into the grotesque thing he is now, or just her asking of one thing of him turned into this. Now, here's the big weird thing that this all creates. It's obviously indicating that the moment that she met the demon was possibly before the downfall of her people. Possibly before this whole ordeal happened that she lost her mother. She met this demon. So what did she ask of the demon back then? She obviously indicated that she would never ask him anything, but it obviously also indicates that at some point when she brought Bose to the demon to make him stronger, she had already betrayed him at that point. Or at least it's insinuating that she possibly asked of something from him before then. Because he said something to the effect of don't avert your eyes. Like almost like you know what I am kind of thing. So, two theories here. The first being at some point she asked of something of him, and he's now the monster that he is now. Or that they met, she said that she would never ask of anything of him, she leaves, comes back with Bose, goes, oh crap, he has changed. Hey, I need him to be more powerful. And that was the point when she finally asked for something. Now, again, my theory is more going for the first, that she has asked something of him before, because it kind of insinuates that she's used to asking things of him. It didn't even have this hesitation. Like, it didn't say, okay, well, I gotta ask of something of again. It doesn't have her hesitate. She just immediately says, another wish, please. So again, I don't know if they're gonna get into eventually saying like what she could have asked of him before, or again, if it's just insinuating that she left for a while, came back, and tons of people ask questions, and the demon's going, you know who I am. You know I've already told you I get more and more monstrous as people ask me of things. But it does indicate this idea that the betrayal was that she, despite saying that she would never ask him of anything because he's sad that it makes him more and more monstrous every time somebody asks, she had to, and she chose to. And now the thing is what it is because she betrayed him, which again goes back to the whole thing of like, wow, okay, here we go. We gotta have a redemption story for the demon too. It never asked for it. The demon was just this innocent child, and because people kept exploiting him for wishes, he became the monster that he is. And he never would have became that if nobody asked him of things. So really, again, Stop, writer. Stop making me feel bad for things. But again, it does answer the question of what the betrayal was. And it is nice that it does technically create this aspect of now Moranjo being alive can work towards that goal of possibly redeeming this demon, that correcting it, somehow curing it of what it's become. But yeah, I'll be curious to see what the last episode will end up covering, and once that does, I can probably speculate a little more on where I think the story could go from that point. But great episode, as always. Really do love this series, and I'm not looking forward to next week and its conclusion, but I hope you all enjoy me for that. As always, if you have not already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Hit that like button down below if you like this video, and comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. And if you have time, down in the description down below, we have a link to our Discord. If you want to talk about this show, definitely jump in there. We definitely appreciate you guys for your support, and for all those that support us through Patreon and other means. And y'all take care.